Hello. Welcome to your medical massage appointment. I was taking a look at your chart, and it looks like you're having some issues with some of your joints, right? Okay. Some impaired range of movement, pain, weakness. Yeah. Okay. Well, our aim today is to assess the impairment and loosen things up a little, so maybe we can increase your pain-free range of movement. Okay? I have a few tools here. I have a few sets of what are called goniometers, and these measure the angles of the joints. So we have different sizes depending on what joint we're measuring. We have rulers and the little labels of all of our angles. So for example, this one could be used for your knee or your elbow. We could line this up with the humerus and this with the forearm, with this at the elbow, and measure how wide your elbow can open. We could use these little guys for something like the wrist or the ankle. And then I also have some assorted wood tools that assist in pointed pressure primarily. So instead of maybe digging in with my thumb, I can instead use this tool, or maybe I want something more pointed than my finger, so I can get in with this side, or I can use the little sticks here. So that's just a way to preserve my own joints, as well as giving you better quality treatment movements here. So, do you mind if I start with this arm right here? Okay, I'm going to just pull the drape up. Just enough that we can pull the arm out. So, how is the shoulder joint? Okay, so as I'm palpating around here, there isn't any pain. Okay. But we are having issues with the elbow, right? Okay, let's get our big goniometer. Like I said before, we're gonna match up our landmarks here. We have the elbow joint, the humerus, and the lower arm. So just tell me where you feel the pain. At what angle? Okay, so right there. Yeah, that's quite a bit of loss of movement there. Is there a point where you can't move your elbow any further? Okay, only about 10 degrees further. Alright, so we certainly want to get a good look there. Now, your wrist was having issues, right? Yeah, that's what I have written down here. So, let's go with this guy. Any loss of range of movement? No, just more pain. Okay. So, let's go right here. Alright, and if you could just tell me where you feel the pain. Okay, and if we come back up and down, up and down. Okay, so that's not very much pain-free movement at all. Well, let's go ahead and start by just kind of peeking around in here. If you could tell me when you feel any pain or tenderness here. Okay, so right in here. Okay, do you deal with tendinitis at all? Either the inner elbow or the outer? Sometimes they're referred to as tennis or golfer's elbow. Okay. And in the joint, so the joint's pretty painful as well. And it is quite hot also. So we've got some inflammation going on there. Okay. Well, let's just start by working around the tendons here. So I'm going to use my fingers to warm up the area and loosen things up, so maybe we can get in a little deeper without pain. Have you ever had a medical massage before? Yeah, it's more akin to physical therapy. It's often used in conjunction with physical therapy. And we're more aiming for therapeutic relief as opposed to relaxation or stress relief. But you can still get those benefits as well. Sometimes medical massage, unfortunately, does ascribe to the no pain, no gain mentality. Sometimes you need to push things to the point of being uncomfortable so that you can address structural issues. I'm not really going to use my thumbs, and that's why I have those tools, because the thumb can be very delicate and easy to injure by really pressing in against the thumb there. So that's what I'll bring in, our little tools. Sometimes they're also called thumb savers for that reason. But I could also use my knuckles. And not so much here, but for other parts of the body, we can use the backs of the hands, the heels of the hands. Okay, so if I press in here, is this still quite tender? Any reduction in pain? Okay, so why don't we start? We're gonna start a little wide here. And we're going to really get into this area, but I'm going to start big so that we're not quite at the level of working with trigger points. And instead, we're just going to kind of, sometimes this is called stripping. We can get some cross friction in here. We're just going to try to loosen everything up. So, how has your holiday season been going? Did you have a good Thanksgiving? Yes, ours was a bit of a baking bonanza. I had made pineapple upside down cake for one family member's birthday, strawberry cheesecake for another family member's birthday, and then my partner and I made a pumpkin custard pie, which is essentially a pumpkin pie, but there's a little more of a focus on building the custard of the pie, of which pumpkin pie is a custard pie. So we use things like brown butter and honey, and it's not just pumpkin and warm spices, it's got more elements to it to make it more silky and more harmonious. I'm going to turn your arm here. Look in here. So in addition to that, my brother and his girlfriend brought croche and peach cobbler. So there were quite a few desserts to choose from. And if one of those sounds a little bit not like the others, it's because croche is a Croatian dessert. It's basically a sweetened pasta dough. Get in here like this. It's a sweetened pasta dough, fried, and often flavored with orange or lemon and alcohol. And I don't remember this, but my brothers seem to remember that our father at one point had made croche, and so that's why one of them has been trying to kind of perfect that. We don't have any recipes or traditions or even the language from Croatia anymore, and we're kind of trying to build back that part of our culture. We have 4 main backgrounds in the family. My mama's side is Irish and German. My father's was Croatian, Swede. And the only part of the family we know anything about, the only part that we have any information on, is the Croat side. My great-grandfather came from Croatia with his parents when he was a teenager. And I guess they just really assimilated and left everything about Croatia behind. I don't know exactly when all of that was lost, but it was kind of seen as a mystical place, as the motherland when I was a kid, Miss Hrvatska. And my brothers and I have always felt kind of a pull sometimes to Croatia, which seems a little silly because nobody's even seen the motherland in generations now, so it just becomes this sort of legend, I guess. I'm gonna just move your arm around. Let me know if there's any pain. Okay, right about there. And there. Okay. But there's also a little added complexity with that. My family looks very Slavic. Myself and one of my brothers are the most Slavic looking. We have the very high cheekbones, the olive Mediterranean skin. My hair color was a lot darker and a lot ashier when I was younger. And one of my brothers has retained that coloring. And the only thing we don't inherit from there is the previous generation. They had the very heavy Slavic brow ridge as well. Okay, I'm gonna try to move. Okay, so we've got a little more there. All right, I'm gonna let that go for a bit. We're gonna give you some time to relax, and let's look at the wrist. So, you know, you'd see programs on TV, and you'd see Croatia, and those people look just like you. And the people around you don't. So, you know, then you have that even more. Like, there is a country where people look just like what we do. And, you know, about our family on that side, I have my great-grandpa's immigration papers. You know, I know exactly what area they came from, and there are still members of my family, because it was just my great-grandfather and his parents that emigrated. You know, they're still there, and we're only a few generations removed, so they'd be like, what, distant cousins, I guess. Okay, are we getting a little bit better here? I'm gonna flip the wrist over. Let's actually get this guy, that I don't have to use my thumbs here. There we go. We're just gonna go around here, just using it as a stroking tool, a kneading tool. Yeah, I hope to go someday. It's so beautiful there, where my family's from. And have you ever heard of karst topography before? Well, that's what a lot of Croatia is. And if you know anything about the Makokata Caves in Iowa, or if you've been there before, that's the same kind of landscape. So, you know, heavily wooded, and all these big, gigantic caves, like some of the biggest in Europe. All these beautiful lakes, they're like green and aquamarine and turquoise and blue-gray. They're so beautiful. The food, I don't know that I would be so adventurous with the food. There might be a reason that recipes were not passed down. But I hear that if you maybe don't ask about what it is, it's delicious. It's a real culinary hub there. Okay, let's see what we've got for the wrist. Is this a little bit better? Okay, so let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So I assume we've got some of the same issues here, right? Okay, I'm just going to transfer that to this side. We'll just open up the muscle tissues here, warm them up, loosen them up. So yeah, I hope to get dual citizenship someday through Ancestry, which is why I have my great-grandfather's immigration papers. I just can't find his birth records, though. That would have been church records. I think it's like baptism records. So I've heard that you have to contact the country, like whatever department is in charge of ancestry or genealogy, and send a Google translated letter with your English translation and note that it's Google translated and ask if they can help find those records and pay for them. You can pay for the labor for them to find them. So I might have to send a Google translated letter to Hrvatska so that I can get dual citizenship. It's EU citizenship, so it's very valuable. And yeah, I very much hope to go someday, and it would be nice to maybe see relatives as well. Not everybody's into that, though. Reminds me of White Lotus Season 2, where the American family of Italian descent tries to visit their relatives and they freak out and throw them out. But that's okay too. But yeah, that's really all we have left. Nothing left of the German side, the Irish side, or the Swedish side, just the Croatian. Okay, let's get this tool right here. Okay, I'm just going to work like this. So do you have any upcoming plans for the holidays? Do you host at all? Yeah, we're hosting for the first time ourselves. We have a 4th of July party every year, but doing a cookout is different than hosting Christmas dinner. But we're having our in-laws over and doing like ham, roasted green beans, mashed potatoes, rolls. Pretty standard sort of dinner. But I have to finish decorating my house, not for the holidays. I got some of my favorite paintings for my birthday, and I have to finish putting them on boards and sealing them. They're almost all of the Art Nouveau movement. Okay, let's try the range of movement here. So right here. Okay, and how about here? We got a little bit more there, so let's flip to the rest. We want the structures to have some time to relax a bit. Okay. Here, let's flip this over. There we go. So, Art Nouveau was a movement from about 1890 to 1910. Another synonym would be Tiffany style, for example. So like Louis Comfort Tiffany lamps is part of that movement. And you also see it, so if you see like those pictures of those old-timey apothecary bottles that say like 50% cocaine, 35% heroin, Like, oftentimes you'll see the typography is done in an Art Nouveau style. That sort of vintage look is generally Art Nouveau. Very, very popular. I mean, this is coming off of Impressionism. It was a complete sensation. I feel like maybe art had not departed so far from what the previous trend was than, say, like from cave drawings to the more realistic pictures. I mean, it was so different from what was being done. And, you know, kind of heralded, there were a lot of things at that time that just were being done that just had never been done before. Not just Art Nouveau. Let's get this guy. We'll get in here a little bit better. My favorite work of all time is called Primrose by Alphonse Mucha, who is a Czech artist. And usually Primrose is paired with his other work called Feather. But I have just Miss Primrose. She's quite large. She's a big girl. She's about 38 inches long, maybe like 18 inches wide. Very big girl. And a very odd shape too. But I got her as a Jacqueline print. She's beautiful. Love her so much. And I got another work by Mucha, which was an advertisement for Job, either cigarettes or cigarette papers. And it's this woman with this incredibly enigmatic look. And she's holding a cigarette, and she reminds me of the Mona Lisa, just with her look, and she looks like she has a secret, and the shading is so beautiful, and her hair is amazing. So that, along with a work from Gustav Klimt, who is most famous for The Kiss, of which I do not like very much. I don't like his paintings of people very much. They kind of remind me maybe of like Cubism of Picasso, and I don't really like that very much. But his landscapes are beautiful. So I have Campo di Papaveri, or Poppy Field. And it reminds me a lot of pointillism. And then he also had a work that I didn't get that I wanted. And it's called Tannenwald. It's very beautiful. It's a forest. Alright, let's look at the wrist range of movement here. Okay, up, a little bit more, down. Okay. Alright, so let's let that rest. And I'm going to shift on down to your knees here. So, are we having range of movement restrictions here? No, just more swelling and tenderness. Okay. There we go. So, as I press around here, that's pretty sore there. Okay. Let's work, so that's going to be around the knee. Yeah, the Gustav Klimt print on canvas. And then I have William Morris, who was part of the arts and craft movement but that preceded Art Nouveau, especially in Britain, and a lot of inspiration was taken from William Morris. So you might know him from his wallpapers. I actually have a rocking chair with the seat has fabric of a variant of Strawberry Thief. I'm just going to do like the elbow here and warm this up before really getting in there. I can use my knuckles here. Yeah, I hope to get those up in time to host, because that'll make my living room, well, right now the walls are quite bare, so I gotta get those up. But my living room is decorated in an Art Nouveau traditional style. Earthy colors, and I have a medallion rug in a traditional style. And all of our light switches, the panels are done in an Art Nouveau style. I painted them along with my partner this summer and replaced them, so our sitting room and living room all have hand painted, hand designed Art Nouveau styles. Let's get, I kind of want to get this guy right here, and maybe this guy. This one, we have that curve we can work with. Do you have any pets at all? Cats, dogs, birds, lizards? We have 2 cats, and they have conspired against me, I feel. One of them likes to lay on my legs when I wake up in the morning, and one of them likes to lay right here on my chest. And my alarm went off, and I set my timer for 5 minutes to give myself some time to wake up, which is when one of them crawled on my chest and the other one was on my legs, and I slept through that timer and woke up an entire hour later. So I feel that they have conspired against me. But they're good. They're good babies. We had just recently got a little bed for the cats. They like to lay in the towels, and they love laying, like if my partner leaves his sweatshirt on the couch, then they'll make a nest in it. So we got them a bed, and they would not pay it any mind at all for a few days. So finally we put one of my scarves in it, and then they started laying in it, and now they won't leave it. We did take my scarf out, but that's now their spot. There we go. So let me grab this guy, and we'll see if we can really get into some of these areas and loosen this up. Do you use any sort of pain medicines or topicals at all? Like Absorbine, Bengay, Icy Hot? I hear there is a topical ibuprofen now as well, which if you can't take ibuprofen because it's an NSAID, a lot of people can't, you can still use it topically. So that may cut down some of the swelling as well. Good. Okay. Good. We're just going to warm up this area. And then I want to check on your elbows again. That seemed to be the area with the worst going on. Are you comfortable with the drape? Is that too warm or? Okay, it tends to be a little chilly in here. I like to err on the side of keeping everything covered. Okay. Look at this guy. And I can use this as a pivot point. Really get into these side structures. So with medical massage, and especially in conjunction with physical therapy, this is going to be something where generally we see incremental differences each time. So it's going to be something that is more, rather than a one-off, would be essentially a program. So especially if you do see results with this, I would recommend that we continue that so we can keep building upon what we've been able to work with. There we go. Is this too much pressure? Is that okay? Okay. Good. So would you say that on a scale from your elbows being the worst, what would be the next worst area that you want to really work on? Is it the wrists or the knees? Okay. There we go. So I'm going to come back up a bit. And let's grab that goniometer. Let's see if we've gotten much more range of movement. So let me know where your limit is here. Okay, and how about here? All right. With the other arm. Where's the limit here? And here. Okay, that's quite a bit more. That's certainly not where we want to be. For a regular range of movement, but that's definitely a lot better than it was. So let's just give that a bit more. So I would like to have a bigger focus on the elbows in the future because we have so much restriction. And I think that that is something that would improve quality of life quite a bit more. But it's up to you if you feel like, with your knees, if you're walking at all, that's going to be an issue with the pain. With your wrists, if you use your hands, then that's a big issue with pain. So how do you feel about it? And what would you like to focus on? Okay. I can definitely make a note of that. Right in here. Alrighty, let's grab that pivot point. And then you probably will experience some soreness for a couple days. But this should stay loosened up for a bit. And hopefully you're able to get a little more activity, which would then continue to hopefully loosen things up. Do you have exercises you're supposed to be doing? Okay, good. This should make that easier. And then we can just keep building upon that. This curved edge is excellent for these little odd areas. Really saves my thumbs from doing all that sweeping and pressure, which then I can use them more wisely, the areas that need them a little bit more. Alright. How are the wrists doing? Okay. So I do want you to keep an eye on how you feel, how everything feels until I see you next, so that we can get more clues about what we can do to help you more. Maybe things that might not work as well for you. And then we can really just keep customizing your treatment plan so that it is completely tailored to you and your conditions. Just getting some heat in here. So you know that heat is good for soothing pain and bringing blood flow to an area, and ice is really good for swelling and inflammation. Okay. Yeah, definitely like ice with the elbows and the knees. I'd probably ice the wrists as well. but heat can also be beneficial. I mean, especially for the elbows, I think. It was a pretty stuck area, so more blood flow can help that healing process. Okay, so let me just straighten all of this out. Okay, so how was all of that? Do you feel like we made some good progress? Okay, good. And is this something that you want to continue then? That we can do more of a regimen? Alright, let me grab my scheduling here. So I do have an opening this same time next week, if that works for you. Yep, same date, same time. Okay, and same time. Alright, I have you penciled in then. So we will keep working on this, and I hope by the end we get a lot more range of movement and a whole lot less pain. Okay? I'd like to thank you so much for coming in. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night.